Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and hockey fans everywhere. It's great to be back with you. Welcome to In the Crease. We have an entirely new format for the show this year and a plethora of special guests, which I'll get to in just a moment, starting tonight, as a matter of fact. Hey, let's talk about some hockey news that has been going on. World Cup. World Cup is back in action once again. I think this is a tremendous move. Those of you that remember the break in the NHL season last season because of the Olympics know how disruptive it was and how it really changed the outcome for certain teams because of players coming back with injuries. Bad idea. Now, I know a lot of players like the Olympics, but when you're in the NHL, you're a big boy, and it's time to leave the amateurs alone. The World Cup is a tremendous idea. I think it's great. I think it'll do everything well. And tied to that, Gary Bettman is seeking team sponsors to put ads on the jerseys of the World Cup teams. This created a bit of a hoopla. I got to tell you, I'm in total agreement with this. It's very seldom that Bettman and I are on the same page, but I think this is okay. Now, don't get me wrong. In some of the minor leagues, and even some of the amateur leagues, the player has to find his own sponsors, and you could have literally uniforms that look like clown outfits because there's so many different. This is not that type of thing. We're talking about a team sponsorship, just like corporations sponsor arenas. This would be a team sponsorship, and you would have the logos placed in. They would be the same on each jersey, and I think this is a great idea. I think it's fine. The regular season, no, but for special events like this, even the outdoor series, I think this is absolutely fine, and this is the way to go. There's some problems with some teams in the league currently. Let's take two of them, for example, Toronto and Edmonton. There is nothing these teams can do right now. Do you remember when you were a kid, you used to have those little sketch pads, and you used to take the pen and you could draw all kinds of things on it, and then when you were done, you just lift up the sheet and everything would disappear? Probably dated myself there, but that's exactly what these teams need to do. Toronto thought it would be a coaching change that would enable everybody to get back into line and let things fall into place. Didn't happen. It's not going to happen. That team has a total attitude, needs a total attitude adjustment. I mean, they should call John Cena or something, huh? Same thing happens in Edmonton. They have been trying for years to revamp, re-grease the wheels, if you will, and get the Oilers back on track. It has not worked. Both of those teams need to clear everything from management on down and change their personnel, especially players from top to bottom. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to do it by the March 2nd deadline, but it needs to be done. The other team that's kind of floundering is the Buffalo Sabres. You know, this is a little different scenario. What you have here is a conflict of ideologies. They have a great coach with Ted Nolan behind the bench. He likes older players. The trouble is, the management wants to rebuild and is infusing younger players. If they could reach a happy medium and mix some of the older players and get them that Nolan wants and mix them with some of those younger players they have, I think they would be a much, much better team. Certainly won't need the wholesale house cleaning that Toronto and Edmonton need. And finally, it's that time of season now where everybody is talking about who is the best player on the league. Folks, don't kid yourself. It's not Sid the Kid. It's Ovi. He is doing it all, and he does it all with style and panache. Just take a look at the games when the two of them went head-to-head. Ovi can take total control of a game. Sid has not proven he can do that yet, and he hasn't this season. He has not been the dominating force. Now, part of that could be the coaching style that Mike Johnson wants him to play, and that's fine. But if you need a player who can do it all, get rough in the corners, get physical, take control offensively of a game, or shift and play defensively in a game, Alexander Ovechkin is your man. Sitting there, you might not be agreeing with me. Hey, that's fine. That's why we have the In the Crease Facebook page, so that you can eyeball and get on there and talk about everything that we need to talk about. It's a great opportunity to sit and chit-chat. Now, try to remember, this page is for hockey fans, not Pittsburgh fans. You're a breed alone. If you're sitting at home and you think Mark Madden knows hockey, if you think Rob Rossi writes good hockey, if you think Joe Sharkey writes good hockey, you don't want to be on this page because we're going to ruin your day, pal. There's hockey in Pittsburgh, and then there's hockey reality. If you're into hockey reality the way it really is, and you can call things as you see them, In the Crease Facebook page, URL down here below. Get on there, join in the conversation. We'll be glad to talk with you. There are a lot of people involved in hockey that simply you don't hear of here in Pittsburgh, and one of them is my guest today, Ray Ravasolo. Ray has been coaching hockey for over 25 years. Speaking of the Penguins, he worked with Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, you get a lot of people, especially in this Pittsburgh area, say, oh, I worked with Fleury, This guy actually did before Fleury became a pro. He worked with him when Fleury was learning stuff down in the juniors, and he'll talk a little bit about that. He currently has worked with a gentleman called Mike Hutchinson. If you remember that name, you should, because he's playing for the Winnipeg Jets right now, and he is just tearing up the league in his freshman year. Could be a candidate for the Calder Trophy. He's actually doing that well. Ray has also had the opportunity to hit the ice with Vladislav Tretiak, and boy, you don't get much better than that, do you? We're going to talk with Ray Ravasolo right after this timeout. Welcome back to In the Crease, and I'm joined long distance, all the way up there in Ontario, with Ray Ravasolo. And Ray, I understand you guys, with all the weather you've had, you're looking at Niagara Falls as a complete frozen sheet of ice right now.
Actually, yeah, you're right. But the one good thing is that we got a lot of outdoor ponds and ice. I mean, it's perfect right now for outdoor skating.
Yeah, there is a plus side to everything there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ray has been instructing goaltenders for, I think it's over 25 years now, isn't it, Ray?
Yeah, it's been about 20, 25, yep.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us a little bit about Razor Tech. That's the system in which you teach under. Tell us a little bit about Razor Tech and its approach to goaltending.
Okay. For Razor Tech, well, it's my own goalie school. I run it year-round, just give everybody a bit of an idea, synopsis. Every camp has a week-long camp at the end of August in the summer. But what we concentrate a lot on is footwork, foot speed, and a lot of crease work. Because the way we look at it, and most people would look at it, is, if you can't move, maybe you can stop a shot, but if you can't move in your crease, are you going to be prepared for the second, third, maybe fourth shot?
Now, technically speaking, though, Ray, a goalie shouldn't be seeing 3-4 shots on it. I know it happens. But...
No, it does. Sometimes on a power play, you never know.
Sure.
Anything can happen.
Sure.
As long as they're in position, even for the second and third shot. That's maybe more realistic. 2 or 3 shots.
Okay, when you talk about crease work, maybe we should identify that a little bit more. Are you talking, more like the slide pushes, the loading? What are you talking about as far as crease work?
Actually, crease work can actually be edge work, meaning how do you skate on the edges, inside or outside edge of the skate.
Okay.
You probably heard of the old term T-pushes and lateral shuffles.
Sure.
C-cuts.
Sure.
Maybe better if I was over there to actually show you guys. But we concentrate a lot on that stuff. Standing and also down in the butterfly position. We start with my school. We're always standing, because if you can't move around in your crease, I call it our house. If you can't move on your feet, I'm not really sure what are you going to do on your knees, or if you fall, or you're in that position. How are you going to get from A to B?
Well, Ray, that makes you sound a lot more like an old school goalie coach rather than the new school goalie coach. Was that how you would classify yourself?
Actually, no. It's almost like I want to almost say a Marty Brodeur type thing, but no, what I mean is, you got to have the crease work. You got to be able to move on your feet, but then once you can do that, then we switch and we let them, we get slides going. Like some of my older goalies do slides. The younger ones, I don't always teach them slide work yet.
Okay.
Because some of them don't have coordination. And that's actually my full-time job is I'm a kinesiologist, which means the science of how the body moves.
Right.
So I apply that actually to sport, hockey, goaltending arena. Like I break down movements, and I go over that, and then I figure what is the best way for you to get across from sliding or from being up. Or sometimes it's a combo of going across, sliding, and then getting back up on your feet as fast as you can. I
Sure.
mean, we don't have any problem with goalies being on your knees, but I mean, you better look like or be like Jonas Hillier,
Yeah.
of Calgary, or Pekka Rinne, somebody who's about 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
they can cover a lot of nets.
Yeah. Yeah. We've
I'm
been saying
only
that on this
5'9",
show
and
for
I
a
mean-
long time. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about your kinesiologist role too, because you've tied this in pretty well with your goaltending. Now, for folks that might not be too keen on or understand what that is, you have a lot to do with soft tissue. Okay, how do you explain a little bit what that is and how that would relate to a netminder?
Okay. Well, first of all, kinesiology is the science of human movement, how the body moves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure if in the States, if they have kinesiologists. We're kind of like a physiotherapist, I guess, if you want to liken it to another profession.
Okay.
Along the same lines. I mean, I don't want to get in trouble with physios because, I mean, they do some aspects of work that we don't do, but we're kind of tied in that way. Okay? With that said, I mean, I usually break down, analyze movements, and find what is the best, most appropriate way for one person to, get across. If we're talking crease, from, say, one post to the other post, or from being on their stomach, and how do they get up? Well, that's more agility,
Sure.
I'm not sure what else to say.
Okay,
about
well,
that.
we've talked to a lot of goaltenders on this show, and almost all of them eventually say that they've developed some kind of a hip problem. In fact, the last one we just talked to was Brent Johnson, who was with the Pens, and before that, of course, with the Capitals, and of course had a nice long stint with the Blues as well. And he that's the first thing he said about when his career ended, that he had the hip problems. Is this indicative of just using the butterfly too often that the hip problems happen? Is there something these guys can do as far as the soft tissue is concerned to try to make them a little stronger there, or is this just going to be part of the game?
I can use, well, actually, I'll really be honest with you. The way it is, I think it's in flexibility, and I know goaltenders are supposed to be flexible.
Yes.
I keep thinking of Donald Cossack as
Yes.
a prime example, but I mean, we're supposed to be flexible. The other thing is with soft tissue work, I also do something called active release and grasp technique, which is a soft tissue therapy.
Okay.
Like I've worked on actually some of the NHL and NFL players too, from a couple of different teams. And it helps to elongate the muscles if they have scar tissue. And some of these players might have had like tears in the groin, and if the scar tissue is not, rehab properly. And I've noticed this, like with I've seen it with Cossack, and there's actually a lot of goalies have groin issues. If some preceding issues aren't addressed properly, they're going to constantly set themselves up for injury. But the other thing too, like going back to that, is the stretching. You have to be really keen on the stretching, appropriate stretches, and it's one of those where you don't just stretch your leg for, say, 5 seconds. You really have to hold it. Like we do two different kind of stretches. Static, which is like, say, holding a joint, say, grabbing my instep and holding my leg up to stretch the front of your thighs.
Okay.
30 seconds. Another one would be dynamic, which is like what you'd see on a sprinter. Before they get ready for a race, they're doing those kicking motions.
Yes.
And that helps with warming the muscle up, getting blood to the area, and actually running your muscle or that leg through your full range of motion, which is, in hockey, that's what you got to do, full range of motion.
Sure. Is it better to do, Ray, that stretching with or without your equipment on?
The static stretching, you can do stretching actually half an hour before you even go on the ice.
I see.
I mean, with some of the studies I've read, some of the stretch carryover, can last that long.
Uh-huh.
I usually do some static stretching off ice before I go on, and I actually do my dynamic stretching, and I don't do dynamic stretching with my gear on. It just, as a bowler, it's too awkward. You can't.
I see. Okay.
It's kind of silly, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Static you can. Definitely static you can do it with your gear on, that's for
Okay.
sure. The dynamic, I like to do that with no gear on, where I'm by myself. I like to think about the game and then, do my stretching. This way my mind is occupied, and I really don't have to think about anything else until I go on the ice.
Sure. Okay, Ray, you had mentioned that you had worked with some people that were in the NHL, but probably the biggest name that you've worked with is Vladislav Tretiak. He's probably recognized as the man as far as goaltending is concerned. When you had the opportunity to work with him as an assistant, what aspect did he add to your game?
Well, it's kind of funny because you were just talking a while ago about the old school and that.
Hmm?
I mean, and the funny thing is he teaches a lot of the butterfly stuff too, which that was probably one of the things, that I noticed. Even like with me, even though I was there as a demo, actually I was up at a camp in Barrie because I worked for Canadian Goaltending Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of the students is in the NHL this minute, Mike Hutchinson with Winnipeg Jets.
Yes, and he's doing quite well.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
We're extremely happy for him.
Yeah.
So working with that guy, I worked with him a little bit. Canadian Goaltending has worked with him obviously quite a bit because the kid is from Barrie. And but anyways, going back to Tretiak, he got right into the butterfly thing, and it was actually kind of neat. But the one thing that really shocked me was I didn't know how big he was. He's a big man.
Uh-huh.
Because I remember the day I walked into the dressing room. Actually, they called me when I was up in Barrie. I was finishing up a week there for a camp, and my buddy who works with him called me and said, "We need a demo. Like, can you come down from Barrie when you get there and go to Toronto and yada yada, and work for the week?" I said, "Sure." And I walked in the dressing room the first day, and this big guy in a big purple golf shirt walked right into me, and he was humongous.
Huh.
It looked like he had goalie gloves on his hands already because his hands, people don't realize how big he is.
Yeah.
He could cover a lot of hand. I mean, you might have seen the picture with me in that with him.
Yes.
He's a big guy. He's like over 6 foot.
Mm.
But I guess in those days, they kind of bred, maybe it's wrong to say it, but they kind of bred students to, be put into certain sports. That's just the way the Soviet system worked.
Yes.
And actually, there's a movie coming out. I don't mean to plug a movie because I haven't seen it yet, but The Red Army, and I actually want to see it because, it's got real footage of how they trained, and they got Radosov in there quite a bit.
Right.
And, you could see that they're young. They put a lot into their development. I know I'm getting off topic. I apologize. But it kind of tied in with Mr. Tretiak.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the butterfly things, the other thing I noticed, everything, he wants everything done. I notice some kids now, they don't have a good work ethic. Over at his camp, you work or get out. He wants you to work.
Mm.
And the year I showed up, usually there were some NHL goalies because like Nabokov and Eddie Belfour used to come out to their camps, even though there's kids out there.
Sure.
They would work as hard or harder than the kids.
Wow.
And they're already in the NHL. So
Yeah.
if you look at something like that, that's a role model.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. He's already making millions. He's in the NHL, say if it's Nabokov, and I'm here whining about whatever. I'm tired or sweaty, and this guy's like actually getting mad when the other people aren't doing the reps. I thought that was kind of profound. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's a very good
The
thing.
work ethic, nothing stops.
Now, Ray, if you look at your one of your social media pages, you have a couple of interesting teams down there that you like. One of them is the Houston Aeros, and the other one is the Wilkes-Barre Pens. And we all have a little connection here with the Wilkes-Barre Pens down here in the Bird.
That's your farm team.
It is.
I don't
Now,
need to plug, but I like Pittsburgh.
yeah. Why those two teams? Why did they make your list of favorite teams?
Arrows only because okay. First the Pens, that was easy because I like Pittsburgh, and actually I followed Fleury before he even went to the Pens when he was with Cape Breton Screaming Eagles.
Uh-huh.
Because one of the players from the OHL that I trained, I got him over to actually go on that team, and actually he was a teammate of Mark Andres for I think 1 or 2 years before Mark went on, and that's how I kind of followed him, and I just stayed with Fleury and right to Pittsburgh, and it hasn't stopped, you know.
Uh-huh.
And the other one was Houston, because like when we were up in what do you call it, Texas area, you know, training and playing hockey, we used to practice on their home ice, the Houston Aeros, no, practice ice. So I don't know, it was kind of one of those things. It was your first big league practice ice that you've been on.
Sure.
I'm just one of those guys. It's like almost like a nostalgia thing. Well,
Nice.
It was, you know, just good memories.
Sure.
You know,
Sure, that
when
fits
you
in
have
there
good
nice.
memories, it's one thing you'll never forget.
Now, you also had on your social media page, you also had the symbol for Gibson Guitars. You a guitar player, Ray?
No.
No?
The only thing with Gibson is that actually, from what I'm still reading some of the studies, and I'm actually starting to try to play the bass. But aside from that, and believe me, it's horrible. But what I was going to say was it actually does help with coordination and concentration for goaltending.
I see.
They say a lot, and there are a few goalies out there. I believe Miller is one. Lundqvist is another one for sure. And there's a handful of other players and goalies that actually have taken up guitar.
Yes.
Because it does help hand-eye coordination. You have to remember lyrics. You have to remember a beat if you're actually in a band, etc.
Right.
4 counts, I believe.
Right.
And you have to be in tune with certain things and block out everything else. And I've, like I said, just starting to try it, and it's tough, because there's so many things you have to do at once and try to, focus on that one major thing, which obviously in that case, playing guitar.
Sure.
With hockey, it's, being in net and stopping the puck, not worrying about what fans got this on, who's got popcorn, whatever what's going on after the game. It's like, worry about the game,
Sounds good.
in the moment.
Yep. Well, Ray, we have a lot of kids who are involved in hockey down here in the Pittsburgh area, primarily because of the success of the Penguins. And when the summertime hits, a lot of them leave the city and they look for various camps and stuff to go and train to. Now, you run yourself a goalie camp that you do in the summertime. You want to tell everybody a little bit about that, and if we have any people here interested in Pittsburgh, how they can get in touch with you to get information on the camp and sign up for it?
Okay. Well, like I said, I run a year-long camp every Sunday from 1 till 2. It's at the Gale Center in Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
So every Sunday I'm on the ice, and then the last week of August, and my website might be wrong because my web guy is a little bit slow, but anyways, the last week of August, the whole week, 5 days, I'm on the ice at the Gale Center. We do 1 hour off ice, and that starts 8:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 hours on ice, and we have, sometimes I bring in guest lecturers, and we supply lunch, and then I let them go. The reason I do that is because usually the week after, or two, they go to school, so this way they're starting to, it sounds funny, but the kids are starting to get in the habit of getting up early.
Yeah.
And I mean, what better way to get up early than go play hockey?
Sure.
It's kind of a fun thing to get up, and then they just kind of carry it through. The other way is when we finish about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or so, is that this way they can still get out and enjoy some family things, or if they were in Niagara Falls, go enjoy some of the sites, because there's a lot to do in the Niagara area. From wine tours and, they can music, everything. Just, But, so then they can get out and do some of the family stuff, or if for the locals, if they have soccer games at night, they can still make the soccer game.
Nice.
So try to keep it that way. And you can go on our website to get information. I also have Razor Tech Goaltending on Facebook, and usually that one I update sometimes almost every other day. Because I like to put goalie-specific things on it, or hockey-specific, or sometimes something to do with the body, because that's what I'm all entailed with.
Sure.
Body and basically obviously goaltending.
Ray, that sounds great. Hey, listen, I know you guys are having, it's cold here, but I know you guys up there are having it even worse than we are. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and taking the opportunity to talk with us. A lot of work with your netminders up there. You got anybody right now that you can give us a heads up on that you think might be the next big thing?
Right now, the next big thing, right now down here, we're getting ready for play. We're in the playoff mode. Everybody's in playoffs. And then within about 3 weeks, they're going to be starting, we do it maybe different. We start our tryouts before the fall. I don't know. I'm not sure how they do it in the Pittsburgh area. but we do it. They do it this way, not we. I just have to go along with what minor hockey does, but that's how they're doing it. So right now we're in playoff mode. I mean, I'm actually working. I work privately with about 6 to 7 different teams aside from my goalies. That people hire me out. I go to practices. You know, even before a season, I'll do scouting for teams, or I'll even actually do some of the evaluations, because sometimes head coaches, well, they have enough to worry about. You know, so you got to kind of, you know, help them, liaison with them, and then make their job a little bit more, you know, less, I guess, difficult. I guess. That's
Sure.
I don't know. Right now, the big guy I keep watching right now is Hutchison, because he's only a rookie. He technically could win the Calder.
Yeah.
Like, we have a couple other guys down here. Joey Murdaka, he was one of my students. He's drafted to the UO. He's playing for the junior B team in Niagara Falls down here now.
Okay.
Raymond Romanuk's in the playoffs. He's with Welland Single A Midgets. He's another really good goaltender. So a couple of those guys.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on them. Ray, thanks again for taking the time out and talking with us. Stay warm up there, and all the best in the pipes. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ray Ravizolo, and Outtakes, or In the Crease, will continue right after this. Like to thank Ray for stopping by. Interesting character. We hope to have him back on the show again. In fact, if he finds his way back into Pittsburgh, we're going to put him live on camera and have him demonstrate a few things and update us on the folks that he's working with. Speaking of updates, let's take a look right now at the current standings on the pro level. Here are your rankings for the NHL, the AHL, and the ECHL. Here are the standings in the CHL. And here are your top teams in Division I men's college ice hockey. Some familiar names in that list, is there not? That's going to be it for our first edition of In the Crease this season. Thanks for joining in, and also thanks once again to Ray Ravizolo for stopping by. Don't forget his information if you're interested in going up to Ontario and taking a look at August at his week-long camp. It sounds like you can learn a few things from Ray, and we hope to hear from him again soon. That wraps us up. Next time, we'll have another special guest for you, updated standings, and of course, some things to talk about on the Facebook page. Until then, on behalf of Zach, Dave in the control room, I'm Fiore. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, when it comes to hockey, if you're in the game, you're in the crease. Good night, everyone.